Hello, everybody. I hope that you hear me. I'm very sorry that I will not manage to show my face today because my camera today doesn't want to work. But be certain that I'm very happy to be at this seminar. It is a big honor for Photo Consortium to be partner with the ICA in this seminar, and we really wish you a good afternoon. Well, we are going to talk about a first seminar about the transformation of heritage. And before entering into the real event, I would like to tell you that this is a part of a series of webinars organized together between Eureka 3D, that is a project funded by the European Commission and coordinated by Photo Consortium in collaboration with the ICA, International Council on Archives. The scope is to help cultural institutions, including museums, archives, galleries, other private and public collections, in their digital transformation by sharing good practices, real life experiences, examples of digitization of cultural collections, and looking at available resources and tools to support high quality 2D and 3D digitization. The program of today is that I will deliver you a very short and synthetic view of what is Eureka 3D. Then we will get a keynote speech by our colleagues from the Finnish Heritage Agency, Museo Virasto, and the speech will be delivered by Ismo Malinen and Anu Akinen. And we will have a question and answer session moderated by David Iglesias Frank of the Municipality of Girona, who is also the president of a Photo Consortium. In terms of housekeeping, just a few words. The camera and the microphone of the participant is switched off. But you can ask questions via the Q&A function or at the bottom of or through the chat. The Q&A function is at the bottom of your screen, and the chat is the chat of Eureka 3D. Also, if you have a longer question, you can write us at info@eureka3d.eu, and we will be happy to reply to your questions. At the end of the seminar, we have designed a very short and simple post-event survey with a small quiz, and it is very important for us that you reply to these questions, and many thanks in advance for your participation. Well, let's move to Eureka 3D. Eureka 3D is a project, as I told you, is a project co-funded by the European Commission in the frame of the Digital Europe program. That is a program for developing data spaces, and in particular, Eureka 3D is in the domain of the data space for cultural heritage. We start from the consideration that in a recent recommendation by the European Commission, the Commission asked to the councils, so to the member states, to reinforce their involvement in digitization. The Council replied that the Commission should support digitization, but this is possible only if there is a strong capacity in the cultural heritage sector. And this is happening through services and tools that support the cultural heritage institutions to make available their contents online for research, for the creative industry, for educational purposes, for tourism, for the entertainment and the enjoyment of the general public in general. In this direction, there is a flagship project that is Europeana that helps in the achievement of this objective. And Photo Consortium, that is the coordinator of Eureka 3D, is an aggregator of Europeana, one of the accredited aggregators of Europeana. So we are in the domain of capacity building, providing a platform of standards and guidelines, resources and tools for creation, management and sharing of cultural heritage. Eureka 3D is a project, is one of many projects that exist in this area. It started in January 2023. It will last until end of 2024. And it has a wide program of capacity building events, as well as the creation of a pilot for storing and operating services based on the cloud, acting as a kind of a data hub, a hub through which it is possible to access data of cultural heritage. And I say data because the data are both the contents, the actual 2D images, the 3D models, as well as metadata, the description of these contents, and paradata, the description of the technologies that have been used to produce those contents. The whole sector, the whole picture is complicated, is full of liaisons between technology and knowledge of a cultural heritage, and the speech of Ismo and Hannu will help us to navigate in this complexity. You can have further information about Eureka 3D through the website at www.eureka3d.eu and through the blog that is hosted by Digital Meets Culture. Digitalmeetsculture.net is a magazine active since more than 10 years that hosts news about what is happening in this domain of encounter between digital technologies and cultural heritage. The core activities that will run during the 24 months of the Eureka 3D projects are basically in two domains. On one side, we are developing the pilot of e-infrastructure services for computing, storage, authentication and authorization and authentication, visualization, in particular for 3D, and the integration of all these services in the EOSC, the European Open Science Cloud. In parallel, a program of capacity building actions through which we are promoting the VG study, the study produced by Cyprus University of Technology, that is a partner of Eureka 3D, that delivered the study to the European Commission on recommendation about 3D digitization, a work on understanding the impact that digitization produces on the cultural sector. We are integrating the data, metadata, and paradata in the Europeana model in order to remain aligned with the Europeana initiative, and we are running events, out of which the seminar of today. Here you can see the screenshot taken from the website and the blog. We are also active on the social media. You can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, X, the X Twitter, and YouTube. I have finished. I don't want to take more time because the real meat of the meeting of today is the speech of Ismo and Hannu. Enjoy our seminar. And Ismo, Hannu, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Antonella, and greetings from Helsinki. Good afternoon. So all of you. And so I will be telling and presenting guidelines for digitization of cultural heritage together with Hannu Häkkinen. We are from this Finnish Heritage Agency, and Hannu, you are changing slides, so can you change the next one, please?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. So first, something about our backgrounds, because we are not from archive. We are from, let's say, it's basically museum organization. We are national organization responsible for taking care of our cultural heritage, meaning our collections, museum collections, and archaeological collections, and large photographic collections. We have different museums. For example, National Museum of Finland is one of our museums. And then one of our goals is to give guidance to Finnish museums and, well, improve their skills in many ways and give some funding to Finnish museums too. And our, well, main ideas about these guidelines is, of course, that it would help Finnish museums in their daily work. But of course, these guidelines can be used to all heritage institutions when they are digitizing 2D. I will shortly explain something about 3D, but I think this is something we can discuss after our presentation. And I know that in forthcoming webinars, there are presentations about 3D and quality. So we are concentrating on 2D digitization and its quality, and we will explain what we are meaning about quality. And I think this is the most important thing, that what quality really is. And next one, Hannu, please. I will go quite fast my part, so I will leave enough time for Hannu, because Hannu will explain more about our work in these guidelines and what it includes. But when we are talking about quality in 2D digitization, it's of course a matter of what you really mean about quality. I think at least here in Finland, and I think it's the same situation in many countries and many organizations. Quality is, it can be visual quality, meaning that, let's say, you are digitizing something, whether it's a photograph, archive material, or object. So quality can be up to your ideas, what you think really is quality. And this is not we are going to achieve, because we are talking about more about technical quality, meaning that the archival file of this digitized file is as original as possible. There are two examples of digitized objects, one from our photographic collections, and basically this picture on the left with these original markings coming from this aging of these glass plates. This is the archival file, meaning that this is the original. On the right, it has been done some alteration to this original. And this painting by Eetu Isto explains about this importance of, let's say, colors, and this is technical quality. You can take pictures of original objects, whether it's archive or picture or museum objects. If you don't take care of these color corrections and are really sure that you are taking pictures of the actual colors, you can miss and have some problems about these pictures later. So, Hannu, perhaps next one. Yeah, and there are, of course, lots of existing standards and guidelines. There are probably these three most important when you are talking about 2D and Metamorphose, FATSI, and ISO. And we will tell more about FATSI because this is our background. We are using FATSI as a starting point in our work. And of course, there are more general guidelines for digitization. I think many museums and archives have their own guidelines for their workflow, how to digitize and what to do. I just picked two examples. They are probably not the best one, but just to give an example that this is a starting point, let's say, for digitizing your collections or archives. But usually these guidelines tell not so much about these technical guidelines. So you need, let's say, FATSI guidelines to be really good in technical quality. Perhaps next one. Yeah, I just took one example. This is from Europeana Pro, and it's I don't know. Perhaps it's a bit outdated even, but it's digitization handbook about camera digitization, and it's quite general. There's little information about this technical quality. So this is perhaps the situation in many organizations. We need really these technical guidelines and something to work with. And this was the starting point for our work. And next one, please. So we, of course, knew that situation was like this even in our organization and in many Finnish museums. And so we needed some quality management and started to talk about what is quality, and we spent a lot of time to talk about this and finally got even funding from our Ministry of Education and Culture because they too realized that this is something that must be done in Finland to help Finnish museums in their digital transformation and to get more solid quality guidelines for digitization. And in this quality means image quality and correspondence to original. It's not about visual quality. And one of our objectives was also to create a model for managing digitization quality management. I will come to that later, because if you do something about, let's say, quality guidelines, you have to keep them up to date even later. It's not just a one-time job you do. You have to keep it up to date even later. And for this, model of management has to be created. So next one. And actually, this is our model, how we are trying to manage these quality guidelines now and later. So it consists of our internal working group consisting mostly of our photographers and people doing digitizing work and workflow. Then there's our national level of collaboration, including different institutions and organizations. I will come to that a bit later. And of course, you have to have a publication channel for these guidelines and keep it updated. And because this is quite new for many organizations, you have to educate personnel, their staff, and have a communication. So this is, I think, should be a quite working model for managing digitization quality guidelines in Finland. And we will see later how it works, but this is how we have created it so far. So next one. And this is what we our main results. Of course, the starting point was FATSI guidelines, and we translated it to Finnish, and the probably most important part was to localize it, and Hannu will tell more about this. But before that, we did a survey on digitization quality management in museum in Finland, because we really wanted to know what the actual situation is. So are there enough skills, or what kind of equipment they are using in Finnish museums and different organizations? And there's this link, but result was that, of course, there are some lackings both in the skills and equipment and, well, know-how, basically. Even though Finnish museums too have been digitizing their collections since 1990s, but still in medium-sized museums, there are still need for more information and more education to be really good in this quality management. Our final result was, of course, to publish these guidelines. It's published in Finnish, but of course you can use different ways to translate it. The address is digitointilatu.fi, and we published also a PDF version of this guidelines on this digitointilatu.fi. It's a wiki page, so it's quite easily to be updated. And there are on Vimeo some training events and training information. Yeah, but about this network we created, there are the main partners in this network. In Finland, Museum Association is really important because they offer education and, well, networking for Finnish museums together with us. And of course, our National Archive is really important too. Then in Finland, there's this IT Center for Science, so it's about national preservable file formats. And Finnish Standard Association, they were really important too. And then there one University of Applied Science, which has been really active in digital transformation, and they are educating new people to be used in museums. And then we had different museum organizations. There are their names, and all of these forms the core group for this network. But now I will leave it to Hannu to explain more about the actual guidelines and this how it was transformed to be used in Finnish museums and in Finland general. So I think perhaps we can we can start discuss about this after Hannu's presentation.
Oh, thank you very much, Ismo. I'm Hannu Häkkinen, keeper at the Finnish Heritage Agency at the Pixar Collections. First of all, I need to thank you. I'll say thanks to Library of Congress. They were really supportive with the help, concerning about this. Like they were updating the FATCI guidelines at the same time, and they were really supportive for us. And of course, I need to thank Suvi Jaakkola, who was the head of the project at the moment. But maybe for a lot of you, you know what the FATCI guideline is. So that was our starting point, and we did guidelines for 2D digitization for Finnish museums. At the moment, this guidelines is informative recommendation. It's not regulatory or obligatory for museums at the start. And this sort of like guideline has a sort of like lot of useful information for the quality analysis and for the quality, but all kind of other sort of like useful information for everyday work for digitization. And like I said, it is based on FADGI guidelines. There's a lot of reasons why we choose the FADGI guidelines to be the starting point for that. But of course, everything comes to ISO standards after all. And this guidelines, it has sort of like these quality criteria for different object types, some practical recommendation for digitizing different object types, recommendations for workspaces, equipment, resolution, color spaces, image processing, and of course there is information about the file formats and metadata. Those are the biggest thing what we did in this localization, but I tell a little bit more about that later on. And for you who know, of course, is that the FADGI guideline is divided, like it has different quality levels. It's based on like a 4-level star system, that it's sort of like it measures it's based on sort of like software-based evaluation of image files based on reference targets and analysis software. So it has this sort of like 4-level star system, and it's sort of like 1 star is the lowest, like a quality level, and the 4-star is the highest quality level. So it's sort of like in this guideline, there is a sort of like, it's written inside the guideline that the recommendation for professional museums, it's that we should aim to level at least 2 or 3 up to 4 or something like that. But most important thing about this guideline and the sort of like quality levels is that you are sort of aware about your quality levels, that you should sort of like write down sort of like the aim levels to your collection policies and to metadata, that where you aim, because in Finland, when we did this sort of like inventory, everybody was saying that we are doing the best possible sort of like quality, and it was of course based on subjective analysis. So we are, when somebody is talking about ice cream, somebody else is talking about the blockhouses or something like that. But now when we have a sort of like guideline, they sort of like we are talking the same language, that sort of like now we are sort of like we can internationally measure our sort of like a quality levels of digitization, and that's the sort of like important thing. And we are in the middle of the project as well, that we need to sort of like write down our aims and all that to the collection policies and digitizing strategies and things like that. And it, of course, the target level can vary depending on collections, about the object types and things like that. And it's a lot of like depended on your equipment also. And here is the evaluation parameters, that with these you are sort of like counting the quality levels. For those of you that know the FADGI guidelines, this is like you know this already. This is all taken from the FADGI, of course, that you sort of like you digitize the reference target, and then you, with the analysis software, you check what is the resolution, what is the color accuracy, what is the noise, what is the sort of like reproduction scale accuracy. So everything is sort of like based on software basis analysis. And all sort of like 2D object types have a sort of like their own sort of like criteria, and this FADGI guideline and our guideline has sort of like these different object types: photographs, slides, negatives, painting, 2D art. And there is of course own criteria for oversized objects, bound materials, unbound materials, newspapers, and so on. I try to be quite fast that we can go through the whole PowerPoint. And like I said, this everything is based on this, that like everything is based on reference targets, and it's based on analysis softwares. And in this sort of like guideline, there is also recommendations for what digitizing techniques you should use for different object types. And we have a lot of like different recommendations for post-processing, and like in our localization, we add a lot of information about like basic information, how to handle different object types and things like that. So there is a more like general information in our localization. Here is sort of like, maybe for some of you, this is sort of like, you know this already, but this is sort of like table from the, what is the sort of like evaluation parameters for prints and photographs. There is sort of like laatutaso is the quality level in Finnish. This is partly Finnish and English at the moment, but this like in this every object type, there is sort of like recommended file formats, recommended resolutions for different sort of like quality levels. And then there is these parameters that like, of course, this looks really scary, but like it's like that the analysis softwares are doing most of the work, that you don't remember that what needs to be the sharpening in for level, let's say quality level 3 or something like that. Software makes the analysis and tells you that, okay, that now your digitizing is sort of like it's approved at the level 3 or something like that. But this is like a general information for you. And now what are the sort of like key factors of digitizing in a sort of like in quality managed environment? Now it's sort of like first time the FADGI is doing it, and of course our guideline is sort of like putting more emphasis on this. The key factor is your own stuff, that you should have like a professional competent people doing the digitizing work. That is the sort of like basics of everything. And this guidelines is, of course, it's based on reference targets and the use of analysis softwares. And in like after that comes other things, like you need to have like a proper sort of like a digitizing environment. So you need to have calibrated screens, and you need to have a certain level of light and things like that. These are sort of like, but this is sort of like, it's good that everything is sort of like in this like a guideline. So this can be, it can be useful for when you are sort of like building up new digitization, sort of like digitizing studio or something like that. These guidelines gives you the basic information that what needs to be taken care of, something like that. And maybe I jump to the end of this, like a key factors, that maybe there is some link to Europeana and some other online services as well. Sort of like now when we put a lot of effort to sort of like digitize the materials as they are, sort of like that we take care about the integrity of the archival files and the physical originals. Of course, we need to take care about the whole life cycle of the sort of like files. And this, of course, includes the long-term preservation, but also sort of like publishing the materials on online services, that we need to take, maybe put more emphasis on that the, like these JPEG files that we publish on online services, that they are sort of like good quality images as well. But maybe that's shortly like that. There is some like targets. This is interesting thing also, sort of like there is a lot of different kind of targets, and these are the ones that we are using at the moment. Like there is maybe the FADGI, the Image Science Associates, like on the left side, there's this FADGI target. Maybe it's the most advanced one that we have at the moment. With that, you can count and sort of like evaluate a lot of like this kind of like different parameters and things like that. And like there is a lot of different kind of analysis softwares. There is free ones and paid ones. This is also interesting question that what should we do as a international cultural heritage sort of like sector that at the moment it's like this, it's my own opinion and it's an opinion of our like digitizing stuff that these freeware softwares, they are maybe lacking some sort of like a features or something like that, and the paid ones are quite expensive and there can be some availability and accessibility problems when you are using like a paid softwares and targets and things like that. But with the advanced ones, you can create ICC profiles and things like that, what can help in your workflow also. And I went quite fast that I try to keep it in time. These are the sort of like key points what we did with our localization and sort of like translation, that we sort of like implemented our own like a museum cataloging guidelines to this sort of like FADGI guidelines. We have this sort of like national level guidelines for cataloging, and it's based on Spectrum. So that is sort of like integrated to our guideline. And of course, we have our own national level recommendation for file formats. It's a little bit different than what it is in USA, for example, that in Finland, we have a sort of like a longer tradition for that we are saving raw files as a DMG files and things like that. And now we are sort of like interested about to maybe study a little bit more about the possibilities of JPEG 2000, like that sort of like it relates to this sort of like storage space issues and things like that how big the files are and things like that. It would be interesting to discuss about the file formats as well. And one big thing what we did for this localization, we sort of like took it from the Finnish National Archives guidelines, sort of like our own recommendations for resolution for the reflective materials like prints and photographs, that sort of like this resolution recommendation is based on size of the original. So that the smaller the original is, the bigger the sort of like aim resolution recommendation is. Sort of like in FADGI, there is this kind of thing for transmissive material, but not for reflective material. And we decided that we are doing this change in our localization. That can be, I don't know, would be interesting to hear your opinions about that. And there is sort of like, there is some extra information about long-term preservation in our guideline. And then there is sort of like, we put some like basic helpful information, how to select and purchase, what kind of equipment you should use, how to buy cameras or lenses or something like that to your museum or something like that. Because from this inventory, we got this kind of like information that museums want to have some sort of like really hands-on information about what equipment or what is essential in this. And we put more information about like detailed information about handling of different object types and things like that. And then we made our own layout and add some like put some our own images or something like that. And it can't be shown in here, but I tried to show our sort of like guideline. It end result was like 183 pages of full information about the quality management and the digitizing of 2D materials. And what are the next steps? This goes really fast. We are doing the first update by the end of the November. Now we are implementing this guideline in our own museum and for the Finnish museum sector. Really interesting and important is this, that how we monitor and we need to sort of like follow how the Finnish museum sector is taking or implementing this guideline in their everyday work and things like that. And in Finland at the moment, it's like this, that museums, archives and libraries, all these sectors have like a different quality guidelines. And next big step is to take that we want to standardize that we have like a common quality guidelines for all the sectors. Wait a minute, I needed to, my kids were making too much noise, I'm sorry. And then of course, when we were doing this, we need to think about what are the cost-effective solutions for sort of like develop this sort of like digitization in museum sector. Could the centralization be one solution? And of course, we need to go through these discussions that what could be the sort of like cost-effective solutions for analyzing softwares and targets or something like that, because we know that some of these like paid softwares and targets, they can cost like thousands of dollars or euros or something like that, and then there comes this sort of like availability problem for small museums or something like that. That should we like fund and create our own free online analysis softwares for the museum sector and things like that. And the one thing that I'm really proud of, like there's been a lot of discussion with like different educational institutions that we are trying to start this kind of like a study programs, especially in this one university for applied sciences, that they could sort of like have a study program that is sort of like based on FADKI-based digitization. So in the future, we could have a sort of like more people to the field that know already the FADKI standard and our standard and things like that. And sorry, it went over time, and thank you very much. And now I stop sharing.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hannu and Ismo, for this very good presentation. And as you realize, there is a lot of expectation, many people attending, 130 people. So that this means that this subject is still of interest. After so many years digitizing, we need to share knowledge, experiences, and have some references like these guides that you have been working in the last year and that have been published and that now you are sharing with everyone. So now it's time for questions and answers. I will read the questions that are there. First of all, Sebastian from Europeana Photography. This is a question for all participants, so not just for the speakers. So you can write it down if you want to answer. Sebastian says, what topics that have been discussed today will they like to receive further training that is currently not offered or they don't know about, or you don't know about? Okay, so some proposals for training. And now a question for the speakers, for Hannu and Ismo. Matthews from Warsaw National Archives, I think. He is asking regarding the upcoming shutdown of Delta A platform. What kind of quality assurance software solutions would you recommend to current Delta AE users?
Yeah. Okay. So I think, Hannu, you actually, I know that you changed some information about this, because this Delta AI has been a free software, and of course this was mentioned in our guidelines as well. But perhaps, Hannu, you could explain something. Of course, because we are a national organization, so we cannot just recommend one specific software or target or whatever, but there's a list of these both in this guidelines. But perhaps Hannu, you could say something to this question.
No, maybe I can send the link. Like we at our like a wiki page, like this digitointilaatu.fi, we sort of made this like a resource page, like the FADGI is having, sort of like over there we collected, and in our guidelines we put some more effort to this, that we put the list of current sort of like analysis softwares and put some like a few sentences about what we are thinking about them, what are the benefits and what they are lacking and things like that. And of course this Delta AI, I guess a lot of people were using it, but of course it was outdated and things like that. At the moment, there is like the free ones is, for example, this OpenDICE and AutoSFR that the Library of Congress is sharing. And that's a sort of like a freeware software. In Finland, we have had a little bit discussions about that, and also with the Library of Congress, that could we maybe do some localization from the OpenDICE for Finnish museums or something like that. But I personally, and of course there is a lot of like paid softwares also, like at the moment there is this online services ImageZebra that is some people are using. It's a paid one as well. We are using at the moment, we tested a lot of like different analysis softwares, and at the moment we are using the Golden Thread NTX system by Image Science Associates. It has a lot of benefits in for example, it can create ICC profiles and things like that. But of course, we know that this software is quite expensive, especially if you are sort of like, if your system is based on that all the museums are doing the analysis by themselves or something like that. Of course, we know that in Norway, they are, for example, doing or piloting, or they already have this, that they have like this kind of like national level centralized quality analysis or something like that. It has some benefits and some lacking as well. Of course, this always this is personal opinion as well, sort of like that. But my sort of like personal wish would be this, that we as a sort of like international cultural heritage community or sector or something like that, we could develop our own sort of like accessible free online analysis software, maybe multilingual, that everybody could use. And at the same time, should we consider some like cost-effective reference target possibilities also, sort of like, because if the sort of like quality is only possible for those who has the money for targets and softwares, then it's, I don't know, then it's, we promote open culture, of course. So these are the sort of like my personal opinions, that what should be the next steps in the future. So was there something else that I wanted to say? But no, maybe this is the what I want to emphasize on this. Hope I answered the question.
Okay, I think you have answered the question very well, but if you have something else to say, please feel free. We go to next question from Sebastian. What training would you advise your colleagues to take? And what training opportunities would you have liked when you were figuring all this out?
Yeah, I think this is same answer, because as the previous, because let's say in Finland, of course, if you are using professional photographers to digitize your collections, or personal staff that had training or different enough expertise, so there's not a need for basic training or education. But if you are using persons that are not experienced or using or digitizing as, let's say, not a hobby, but an extra job for their main job. So you really need some training. And this is a problem because at least in Finland, Hannu explained something about this University of Applied Sciences. They are starting to educate and possible new staff members for Finnish museums and archives. So I think this is something that many of us need in the future. And I don't know if in your countries you have this kind of education for future staff members doing digitizing in your organization. But of course, there are some international courses you can take and educate yourself. But
yeah, I'd say some extra to that, these are really good questions because these are the ones that we've been thinking about ourselves also, that it's sort of like at the moment in Finland, there is not sort of like any institution or some sort of like an educational institution is not giving sort of like they don't have study programs that study or teach this kind of like standard-based digitization or something like that. And I understood in international seminars and things like that the situation is same nearly everywhere. That in most of the countries it feels like that the museum sector sort of has the responsibility to sort of like create some sort of like study programs or something like that. And of course, if we because once again there is sort of like we have a shared sort of like wishes and dreams and things like that maybe once again we as an international sort of like a cultural heritage sector or something like that, maybe we could have some like international study programs for standard-based digitization or something like that. But of course, please, my knowledge is like it's limited and all that. I only, this is my personal opinion from all that discussions what I have had in some international seminars and things like that. But it feels like that a lot of is like we need to be active, that we sort of like we are actively seeking for cooperation with the educational institutions. So we need to build up this kind of like study programs that we sort of like can have enough knowledge and all that we have professional staff doing the digitization. Maybe that's the answer. Thank you.
Okay, now as we don't have much time, I will make two questions together. Okay, these are technical questions. One from Marcus, he asked, do you also make use of reflectance transformation imaging? And the second one from Mateus, have you implemented any tools for measuring the quality of lighting use in digitization process? And are there any parameters other than color rendering index and color temperature you pay attention to?
Yeah, I think this is a technical question. So Hannu, perhaps a very short answer to this. And yeah.
No, I don't know if I understand all the questions, but it's sort of like.
Yeah, the first one is if you also make use of reflectance transformation imaging.
No, this is something that I don't unfortunately understand. We are sort of like, of course, if it's sort of like, if the question is that do we digitize transmissive, like transparent and reflective materials, sort of like slides, negatives and prints, and of course we do, and things like that. And all our guidelines are based on FADGIC guidelines, so the basics comes from there. Sort of like, and then it's sort of like, for example, for the lights, all the sort of like everything comes from the ISO standard. So all this is written out in the guideline. And of course, when you are doing the analysis, there is, of course, you measure that how even the light is in your object and all that. So maybe that's the question for the light thing. And I must say that I'm sort of like more like this kind of like administrative guy. I'm not a professional photographer or something like that. And I can, like, my knowledge is limited in that sense. But if you have some like really some questions that you want to ask, maybe you could write an email to us or something like that. And if we can't answer it, we can sort of like forward it to Library of Congress and the sort of like a working group over there. So of course you get the answer to all your questions, but like, and what was the other one?
The other one is if you implemented any tools for measuring the quality of lighting, use it in digitization process, and are there any parameters or other than color rendering, index, and color temperature to pay attention to?
Now, those are the key things, like I said, and of course then like how even the light is that's like evaluated in the evaluation parameters of the FADGI guidelines. Now I try to read what is the question about the raw files, but it's...
Yes, there is another question about the raw files, and it's about if we need some general service in a national or international level, like a storage, for example. When digitizing, not everyone can have a storage for big files. So do you need in these national or international strategies?
In Finland, we have like a national level solution for this, like a long-term preservation. And of course, we know that this is a big challenge, especially if you are sort of like a communal or regional museum or something like that, then you can have sort of like limited resources, especially for long-term preservation of digital files. That sort of like it's a difficult task to do if we think it in a really long term or something like that. So that's why in Finland we have sort of like centralized solution for long-term preservation of digital cultural heritage.
And very short, last question. Where can we find the cheat sheet you had in Finnish in English?
You mean these our guidelines? I think it's on our presentation. There's this address to these guidelines. It's in Finnish, but actually it hasn't been translated to English. Of course, if you are using English, perhaps you could start with this original version and perhaps,
all these evaluation parameters and all that, they come all from FADGI guidelines. So if you are interested about the sort of like parameters and the sort of that, then you can check the original FADGI guideline. Sort of like we didn't make any changes to these like evaluation parameters and things like that.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ismo and Hanuk, for your presentation for this webinar. And I finish with final thoughts that after listening your presentation and all these question and answer, I think it's good to conclude with this. First point is quality. We have seen that quality is essential because digitization is fundamental, a scientific fact. So the final results depends on the process. And so if we have a control on the whole process, we can have a good quality image. So it's not just about file formats or about compression, all this, but the capture is essential. And that's something that that it's well explained on the guides. Then the importance of the materials. There is a variety of the materials of heritage. If we focus on photography, there is diversity, a very important diversity. And we need knowledge on this. We need to understand what are the objects we digitize. Otherwise, it's very difficult to think in terms of quality if we don't have a good understanding of this heritage. And then there is something also important that is the reuse of this material. When the digital object that comes from digitization is an image, then it has a high potential for reuse. Then it becomes a digital information, and this is linked to the evolution of technology, of semantic web, of AI, of computer vision. So we have a potential there, and this needs to be taken into account. And then what has been very clear explained is the need of creating networks in a national level and in a European level, mainly I would say in a European level, because we have a strategy for digitize all this heritage, because it's many years since we are digitizing archives, museums, etc. And still we need training, we need knowledge, we need guides, etc. So it's good that we share our knowledge and that we create real networks in order to be more effective, in order to get better quality on all this process. So we finish with this. Thank you to the speakers. Thank you to Photon Consortium, Antonella, Valentina for organization, and also to ICA for hosting and helping in organize this webinar. And thanks mainly to Eureka 3D project that I'm representing now, because all the knowledge that comes from the partners involved in this project will be explained, shown in next webinars. So please, if you are interested in 3D, don't hesitate to connect again in the webinar that will take place in November and another one in December. So it will be announced. You will have the information to register. So that's all. Thank you very much for all the attendance, for your interest, and for being part of this session.